let's just say someone like myself, 43 years old, I'm kicking ass in business now. What do I do with my money? I have saved nothing. I got to get to $1 million before I retire by 65. That's too long. See?
But
Like,
no, but
65
tell him,
sucks.
but tell him though exactly what does $1 million get you
Right. Like
for
I
the
feel
next
like
25 years if you retire at 65? Because this was what was eye-opening to me, right? Everyone says, make sure you save $1 million, but no one ever says, what are you living off of annually if you save $1 million? Please tell the people.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
All right, welcome to another episode of Your Peak Life podcast. I'm here with Eric Edwards, Davina.
Davina,
Damn it.
You even asked
And
for your
Mr.
for your
Jesse
previously.
F. Wood. Also, I want to read this from the top of your Facebook, which is great. Helping families eliminate financial worry without confusion, biased information, or fees. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself, Jesse.
I'm a financial ninja.
Well, what's the difference between you and every other financial ninja? Just like a...
Outside of just me as a human, being
Right.
somebody with lots of experience, multiple industries, really knowing how to strategize towards people's goals. I've done it a lot in ministry background, in mortgages. I worked with bond loans, so helping people that were on the edge of being able to qualify, helping them actually buy their first home was super rewarding. But now with what I do in finance, what really sets me apart is the difference in my platform. Being an independent, non-captive broker, I have access to 192 A-rated companies and carriers. It's so much that I have a concierge line that I can reach out to.
Damn.
So what I love is I get to put my brain on, like, what are your goals? Like $1 million is not the goal, because if I gave you $1 million right now, you wouldn't try to make a couch out of paper in your floor and roll around in it. You go buy that couch you've been wanting. So money is just the tool for what you want to do with it.
Right.
So I align first with my clients' goals and dreams. Some of the best products on the planet, they have, they're time-based commitments. There's levels of liquidity and things like that change over time. So like if you wanted to buy a house in 6 months, I'd do something different for you than if she wants to buy a house in 6 years. We'd pick a different vehicle. So what I love is just aligning with people's goals, dreams, and visions, and then surveying the landscape of the best A-rated companies and carriers, and make them compete for the piece of the puzzle that you need to accomplish your goals. And I absolutely love that.
Now, obviously I met Davina. It's been a couple months now, right? And I always said she has a good heart, good soul, good aura. I've briefly met you, right? But watching you online and things like that, I would say you're more like my wife. We're more outgoing. I'm more like Davina, where I'm more just behind the scenes, quiet, talk when I have to. Where did you guys meet? And how did you guys connect?
Well, so I also co-own a Christian record label. And I'm a professional bass player. And I've been training and working with worship teams and independent Christian artists for the better part of 14, 15 years now. And one of my artists is one of the major worship leaders in this area. And so he's got a high demand. He'll go to other churches to give worship teams like a day off, or be like the headliner for major events, things like that. He recently did Sunrise Music Festival, which is arguably the largest Christian music festival we have in our area. One of the headliners opened before the actual headliner. But I'm a bass player and music director, and I train worship teams, and we're basically family now. We're brothers. And he got asked to guest worship lead at the church she was going to at the time. And we had been there a couple of times, but we had never ran into each other until I think it was the third time. Of course, I'm on stage. I could see everybody. It's not a large church. And so I saw her and I was like, she kind of cute. Not that I'm scoping, but
all I think is that meme of like Jesus, like in
Over
the
your
background, like you watching.
Yeah, he causes all things to work to the good of those who love him. So I saw her. I was like, man, she looks cool. Well, it turns out she was a part of the leadership team. And after church, the leadership team, they invited us to go to Buffalo Wild Wings and hang out and Of course, I had to pack up all my stuff. So
Right.
everybody kind of got there before me. So by the time I came up to the table, it was a whole bunch of people and there was one empty seat and it was right next to her.
Dope.
And I was like, either people are like really scared of her or I don't know, God set me up for something. And we just had really deep, great conversation that, you know, I find myself having to constantly figure out where people are and match them. But to have a conversation with someone that I felt slowly during the conversation, I could just be fully me and connect with someone just fully deep and not wrapping it up, however it is that they need it and make them feel good. But that I walked away from that and I told my buddy, I was like, so she's amazing. She's probably married with a ton of kids. Turns out she was. But you know, that's whole, you know, her story. But we started working together. I've got a background. My dad did real estate for 35 years, but he was also a land surveyor, and so he had this symbiotic business thing going on, and that always stuck with me as a kid. And she was starting real estate staging, and I was just winging it as an entrepreneur, trying to figure stuff out. And she's like, "Hey, can you help with this?" I'm like, "Yeah. I mean, I've never hung a lot of pictures, but I can build an engine. I'm pretty sure I can figure this out."
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, so she was hitting on you then.
It was a little bit
Reaching
of
out to him, like, can you hang this on the wall?
yeah.
No, when I had started my staging company, I needed an install.
Gotcha.
She wanted me up on a ladder so for that angle.
Yeah.
No,
Again, the Jesus. meme. I can't laugh at that.
no, I needed a good installer, and that was one of the things that we had chatted about. Like we met for the first time that day, but we never connected again. What was it, like a year or two later before
Oh,
we
wow.
ever actually. We kept seeing each other places, but
Yeah, they would go to events that like we were
They would
leading
be
worship at and stuff.
that, and then it was probably about a year or two before we actually started dating. So it wasn't like it all worked out. We had a lot of life that happened in between that. But I started my staging company at the time, and I had someone that was helping with the marketing and all of that. And I was kind of just doing a small level, but then things started to grow and I needed support. So I hit him up because we had mutual friends. And I was like, "Hey, you want to come help me with this?"
But that's what I'm getting at. Out of all those mutual friends, that one guy. Hey, man.
yeah,
I tell her all the
I'm just
time.
saying.
I tell her and I train my team, like sometimes you got to play the long game with people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you got
that
an idea
follow-up,
in
got
mind, but it's just little seeds sown,
Yeah.
good conversations. You know,
Right.
people.
you say the right things along the way because people say, "Oh, that's a skill set you have." Okay, I'll remember that skill set if I ever need it. He
Yeah.
was really good about selling all his
Yeah,
skill sets
it's like
along
good
the way.
and good prospecting. You know, people will always remember the emotion you leave them with.
Yeah, I would say to the initial conversation you guys had, like with my wife, I immediately knew we were friends, right? And I don't, when you hear me talk about her, sure, I'll say wife, but it's usually my best friend
Oh, yeah,
is what
definitely.
I equate it to. It's like somebody, it's like the connection never leaves, right?
Mhm.
Always good conversations. Things could be going wrong everywhere, and we're like, let's just go over here and just do our own thing.
Yeah.
Because we know we're just gonna have fun together.
Yes.
That's just, there's no worry in the world usually when I'm with my wife at any event. How long have you guys been married now or together now? I'm sorry.
Almost 2 years we've
Almost
been married.
2 years.
2 years.
November.
November will be 2 years.
We eloped in Vegas
So did we.
for fun. Yeah.
$700 did a night.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then everybody went and had fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
a good time. But I think we met 7-8 years ago
hmm
initially. It's hard to keep track of the timeline because there's pandemic, there's all kinds of stuff in
Weird.
there.
I know.
We
Yeah.
traveled all over the country in the pandemic setting up vacation rentals. Like literally we had a business just blow up because of the pandemic. Just
Yep.
kind of stumbled in some stuff and we were just kind of hanging on for the ride.
It was
So
crazy.
what I love about us, I love that you say best friend. Our probably equivalent to that is partner, like a
Mhm.
true partner in
Right.
all the ways. And
Right.
I've been married, divorced in the past, but I love business. And I was really praying to God, like looking at Adam and Eve in the garden, how they worked and labored and like toiled together, but they were building family and they just loved being with each other, I assume.
We
Until
hope.
they played the blame game, but what marriage doesn't do that.
Right.
So I was like, man, I really want a partnership, somebody that is with me in everything instead of like come home and try to give the report of your day. But meanwhile, while you lived those emotions, you were attached to other humans. And to be able to live with somebody that you're experiencing life in real time together and those debriefs, and you just feel like you're just really with each other. And my ex-wife, God bless her, she pretty much told me in my face, she's like, what do you want? What do you see yourself doing? I was like, I honestly see myself traveling the globe as some sort of mentor or teacher for something. But I just love leadership and I love pouring into people. And she's like, yeah, I would never do that. And I'm not trying to be the spouse that's just stuck at home.
Right.
And I'm like, I respect like you just saying that's not what you want. We probably should not got married after that conversation. But point is, I found that person where like the same dream,
Right.
you know, it lines up, and not just know you have somebody supporting you at home, but we're in this thing together.
And I see it now. Obviously, I see the highlights right online. You guys are out there traveling, things like that. Davina coming back tired for training. You looked exhausted yesterday.
I was so white.
Facts.
She was like, and they threw a microphone at me. And
Yeah.
She's
Oh,
like,
it wasn't yesterday. It was like 2 days ago.
Wednesday, yeah.
She's like, and you know, I'm not here for that, but I did my thing. You'd be proud. I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
Right. But now you're out there on stage, things like that. Now, like before that though, obviously you said entrepreneur, when you did everything like to get to the niche you're in now, as far as finances or what you're doing on stage. Because to me, that's kind of seems like what you're going to is the stages. That's you said it. Sure, you're helping people with finances, but now you're like informing the masses. Like that's the end goal as far as that part, going to the stages, traveling for that sole purpose.
Yeah,
is teaching everybody financing.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to get at basically is you see a lot of people on stages, and I haven't seen you live. I would like to. I like to support everybody's husband or wife or spouse in the company. I think there's been some travel conflicts lately. You were in Texas at one point, I believe.
We were in Austin.
In
that was
Austin.
like, but that was before we came here. That was for me. We were in Austin for me. Like I did something in Austin.
There was one week I was like, man, we might be able to do this. But anyways, long story short, what is the subject? Like when you prepare for speeches, I was asking Mike this. I was like, okay, you're going to be on stage for 15 minutes, an hour. How do you prep for that?
Oh, he's the person to ask. He is killer.
Like on a core, deep emotional level, on like a practical, how do I build out a speech?
I would say personal.
Okay.
Like that people got to engage with you.
Yeah, because I'm terrified. If you don't know that, I'm like on stage, absolutely not.
Really?
Can't do it. That's why you don't see me out there.
Really, I would not believe that about you. You have such a great presence, and you're likable. Both of you guys are likable.
That's why we're not up there.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
I'm physically like terrified to stand in front of people. Like
Yes.
when the eyes start, like small groups, cool. Big group, and then you see all the eyes.
Yeah.
And you feel that energy. You're like, ooh.
That's so fun though. What I would tell you is don't see a big crowd, see a bunch of small groups.
Right.
And tell yourself it's not any different. You don't get as much like feedback, but on a personal level, I really truly honestly believe that any and every opportunity is it can be as powerful or not as powerful as you believe that it is or can be. I personally believe that every single little thing is working for my good, but I'm not here for me. I'm here for others. I'm here for everybody else. And I know that if God can trust what like my heart and how I'm going to handle somebody, then I'll get opportunities. So when it happens, I'm like, okay, God, you're trusting my heart. What are you trying to get across to people? And I'll literally see myself on the stage looking at everybody and thinking about who am I talking to? In the same way you would build a great marketing plan. Like what's their pain point? What am I doing for them? How can I set them up? And 90% of being successful is mindset. It's probably 99%, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
When you got a good system and good support, it's just you not getting in your own way. So for most people, I'm trying to unlock like what's something that's in their mindset that's holding them up that I'm uniquely qualified to speak to. And you're uniquely qualified to talk to the person you once were. And even on more general scales, like, I had a problem, didn't believe in myself, scared jumping on stages. I mean, you wouldn't probably believe me if I told you that up until 17, I was super shy. I didn't look people in the eyes, and I was the second smallest person in my school, and I just avoided everyone unless it was a small group of people that I really felt safe around, which was really just women.
Right.
I didn't really hang out with a lot of dudes. I just had like a tight crew of girls because high school guys are brutal, and I was not the jock. I was not tall guy. I was smart. I just knew I was going to get out of the high school, go somewhere nobody else went, and just go start fresh socially.
Right.
And it was really that concept of I'm going to go somewhere where nobody knows me, and I'm going to begin to just be that person I've always wanted to be. So I studied humans. I studied psychology. And you've got about 3 seconds to buy 30 seconds to buy 3 minutes of attention. And then while it's high, I'm going to get out of that conversation. I'm going to close to I'll see you later, or let's keep the conversation going, and boom. So I was already doing that before I got into business because I was trying to learn the strategies to overcome my social anxiety. And I could only do it if I felt confident in like the strategy and I know what's working. I know the science. Other people that have gifts at things,
Right.
they can't really teach you. Because they're like, it just happens. They're just good at it, right? I was never uniquely good at something like just automatically. I just started studying it and going for it. And then I feel confident. And then I walk into a room and I might be like ready to throw up, but I know I'm probably the most emotionally or relationally educated human in this room, and I'm going to be more intentional than everybody else, and I would find my confidence from that.
Right.
And then you just have repetition after repetition that goes well, and then now you have enough data to tell yourself when you still think I'm going to fail and puke and go down in flames, you got enough, historical data to say, no, this is going to be awesome. We do this every time. It always goes well. It always works out. And then I just go through the same work that an Olympic athlete would go through to break a record. I go through the work I know that I need to in preparation and outlining it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like sweating and I'm like, please don't forget anything. We're walking through the airport and I'm just hitting her with it off the top of the dome. Like, this is what I'm thinking. I don't sleep for 2 nights because I've already. So by the time I got on stage and I did a 5-minute speech, the last thing, it's the most recent on my Instagram at Jesse Wood Wealth, if you want to find me. That 5 minutes, I probably prepared like 15 hours in my mind, and then laying it out, and then building the bridge, and putting together what I know for good science and art of presentation. 5 minutes is really hard.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
And I had 8 seconds left on the clock, and so you're watching the clock. You're trying not to forget. There's lights in your face, so you have no idea what anybody's faces look like, but you just trust the process, trust your training, and I don't know, just kind of lock in.
So is I would say, Davina, like your focus group, like I know you're saying you're going through it in your mind and tweaking it, but do you like say, okay, this is my 5 minutes?
I'll tell her some of the preview. Now, when I did my 5 minutes, that was probably the first time I gave her the entire thing.
Because he was so worried about it. Because he's more of like a 30-minute to an hour. Like he can
How do you
doing
condense it?
longer
Right. Yeah,
for him
5 minutes.
was way easier than doing shorter. But his level in this group that we were in, he was a small fish in a big pond, right? So when you're not the headliner, you're not the main people. They're like, oh, we want you to have a stage because we respect you, but you get 5 minutes. There's 5 guys that had 5 minutes or something like that. And
Associate broker level. Everybody else is broker. I mean, we've been in business less than a year on this aspect.
Okay.
So it's a huge deal.
it was a huge deal for him to be asked. So he's like, I'm not messing this up, and it's 5 minutes.
Nor will I go over the time.
Nor will he, because that's a big no-no. You
That's
don't go over
death.
time.
But I was trained in Bible college. We would do 2-minute drills, and you got to do you got to grab the attention, tell a story, make your point. If you go 1 second over, you fail the entire thing. Doesn't matter how you did.
Right.
Jeez.
Because you're buying your way in. You're getting in there. And a mistake that a lot of people make is they just talk too much. And I'd rather not give people enough. And I do this with radio edits with my record label. I'd rather you hear a song and it end and you go, I could have listened to that longer. And then you hit play again and you hit play again. You're getting more streams, you're leveraging, you're getting more information. Some people try to do too much.
Like and this is like even right now, I got all these questions, right? And even when I was asking the last one, and that comes to speaking to people, just standing in front of people and talking, I get in my own way. I'm in my thoughts, rambling. I catch myself. I try to stop. So I know that's a super good skill set. What you have is just like, you're up there, right? You don't have a teleprompter?
No.
No, they don't want you to have
5
notes.
minutes
Like
is
you
a
gotta be able.
long time.
Yeah, it's like a TED Talk style, which
Yeah.
was actually it's actually a big challenge for me because I'm trained as a preacher, so I'll have my notes and I'll write it all out, condense it down. It's color coded, so I know when something's like passionate delivery, or I'm telling a story and I'm leaning back, or I'm reading scripture, or I'm tying something together. So I have like color coded the emotion that I need to have when I'm speaking through an element, and then I'll condense it to a bullet point. So I'll just glance, and then I know the emotion, and it'll trigger what I'm supposed to say, and I chain that along, and that's essentially how I organize it.
Now drop your handles. Where can we find you?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Jesse
Yeah.
Wood Wealth.
Now, what are all the services you're providing? Like, let's just say someone like myself, 43 years old, I'm kicking ass in business now. What do I do with my money?
Yeah, that's
That's it. I have saved nothing. I got to get to, I don't know, $1 million, right? You threw out the word earlier. $1 million before I retire by 65. That's too long. See?
But
Like,
no, but
65
tell him.
sucks.
But tell him though exactly what does $1 million get you
Right. Like
for
I
the
feel
next
like,
25 years if you retire at 65? Because this was what was eye opening to me. Right? Everyone says make sure you save $1 million, but no one ever says what are you living off of annually if you save $1 million. Please tell the people.
yeah. Well, this is where I start with goals. One of the biggest
Mhm.
targets is what age would you like to retire? And by retire, I mean when would you like for your activity not have to generate income?
right.
Like us, everybody in this room, we're probably never just gonna sit in a lazy boy and eat Cheetos watching television. We're gonna be doing stuff that still makes money, but for you to truly be free means you don't have to if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So at what age would you like that to be? And how much money do you think you would need?
Everyone.
And then I begin to reverse engineer what we need to compile, and different vehicles will get you more for your money. It's just simply that. There's different vehicles that have different features. Now, if we're talking IRA 401k, let's take that. That's where most people lean towards. Which we have the father of the 401k on the news stating it was never meant to be an all-in-one retirement solution.
Saw that.
And he's like, well, what should they do? It was basically personal pension plans, guaranteed income for life, stuff like that, which I have access to. But while you're in the accumulation phase, that's not really an option. So then what are your other options? Well, if you are in an IRA 401k, how this works, any good planner or advisor worth his salt is going to tell you can live on 4%. 4% of your net worth. Now, 4% adds up to 100 when you multiply it by 25. So that means you've got 25 years of 4% if your money stays the same. Now, if we take $1 million, now that converts to $40,000 a year. But if this is traditional or qualified funds in a 401k or IRA, you haven't paid taxes yet. So you're getting $40,000 a year minus 22,
We're not
24
we're barely buying groceries.
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So people are like, man, $1 million sounds like a lot, but it's not. And then not only will it run out in 25 years, but what has inflation done over 25 years?
Yep.
So you had the same, but you're actually losing 3% buying power every year. And plus the tax rate's probably going to go up. Let's talk about that. We're in $35 trillion worth of debt right now.
Mhm.
And taxes are dependent on alleviating that along with government spending. So we need to reduce spending and increase taxes. We're going to chip away at this debt. Well, we're not reducing spending and we haven't increased taxes. We're under actually the greatest tax discount we've been in the last 80 years of our nation's history because of legislation that the Trump administration put into place, but expires at the end of next year. So we're actually scrambling to help our clients take advantage of this tax discount and shift things out of pre-tax dollars or traditional accounts like 401k or IRA and find Roth strategies or tax advantage strategies, cash accumulation, life insurance policies with some of the best features and carriers in the nation. It's simply, though, really just a matter of education. But when people see that and they're like, wow, okay, yeah, I want $10,000 a month and I want to retire yesterday. Okay. I can do that. You got 3 million hiding. I mean, I can make the most out of it.
Yep.
I mean, I've got ways. Let's stay with $1 million. I'm like, just moving a few things around. Let's say we get you a 40% bonus on that on a rollover. and then lock in 5.3%. Guaranteed payout for life. Instantly, I'm already punching your IRA in the face because I'm going from 4% to 5.3. But on top of the income base or the calculation, I just got you another 40%. So now we're taking 1.4 million, multiplying that by 5.3, guaranteed for life. So now you're not worried about the 25 years. Now, did I get you $10,000 a month? No, but I got you a lot better than what you would have got with it just sitting in your IRA. Right. So ideally, we get a hold of people earlier in life, and we start building a strategy where we can find vehicles we can leverage for 7, 8, 9, 10%, depending on what the market's doing.
Right, because a couple years back, when me and my wife were talking, when we had our first daughter, when we had our first kid, which was my daughter, we started the 529 plans, right? Like 6 months after they were born, and we were dumping money in, then the next kid, and so on. And then we're like, well, what if they don't go to college?
Exactly.
Fuck happens to that money, right?
Yeah.
So then we rolled all that money over into like whole life policies, cash accumulating whole life policies, whatever.
Yeah.
Because then we have more flexibility with that money, or they could do whatever they want with that money, buy their own cars or whatever. And it's been a learning process of what I should do with everything that I'm earning now, including with our checks now that we get from the companies, right? What do we do with that? I don't really need it. It's just extra money. Mm-hmm. So for somebody, let's just go back, somebody that's young, where would you tell them to start? Somebody, let's say 20 years old.
20. Not in school, but actually
not
making
in
money.
School. They finally got a steady job. They bounced around from, I don't know, Walmart, Hardee's, whatever jobs they're getting now.
Yeah.
The car wash.
Well, we're just kind of off the cuff. Just stock standard. Where I would probably start is, when you say 529B, 401k, a 403B, we're all referring to internal revenue codes that control the tax benefits of these types of investments, right? The account that has the most internal revenue codes supporting it and giving it amazing benefits is actually Index Universal Life policies. They leverage 7702, like 72E, and one other one. But what I love about it is, this is so easy for real estate agents, is it's like buying a digital house where you've got a mortgage and you pay that mortgage. That's a cost. That's a cost to having the home. But you're looking at appreciation off the entire amount over time, and then the potential to turn it into a cash flowing asset. So if I'm paying $1,200 for a mortgage, but I'm renting for $2,000, I'm making money there, but I'm also making money over time in the appreciation. Well, the way Index Universal Life accounts work, it's essentially the same thing. Imagine your mortgage is the insurance premium. And this is probably what stuck out to you with whole life. This is just a little bit more efficient and has more features built in to access the money, like home equity that I'll get to in a second. But so you have what's called the no lapse guaranteed premium, which is that minimum, which is like, hey, this is the cost of owning the home. Or what we talk about is building your own bank. So
and at 20, though, it's the best cost that you'll probably ever find because you're so young.
This is why I'm saying this for a 20-year-old, because the moment we lock this in, your health that you're at right now and young, you're going to get the best rating like ever. So now you're locked into this thing for forever. They can't change it. Not only that, but now you have life insurance already, and it's got living benefits built in. So chronic, critical, terminal illness, heart attack, cancer, stroke, you can leverage the face amount and not have to deplete your assets. So that's another thing. Sometimes if people don't have the right amount of insurance in the right place, they'll end up having to deplete their financial assets just to survive. Now, let's say you made it to retirement, but you ain't got no money. Yeah. It's probably better you just died and let the insurance pay out and let your surviving spouse, go find somebody younger and attract them with the $1 million you left them. And your kids live a better life.
Yeah.
So don't give your spouse a reason to kill you if you get sick. Make sure you have good life insurance. But with that IUL, you're basically building your own bank, and the overhead is that life insurance premium. But when you do that, you instantly unlock the power of the internal revenue codes that allow you now. Of course, you're putting post-tax dollars in there. Like, you get your paycheck, the money you have in your hand, You pay yourself first. And generally what I'm looking for a sweet spot is about at least 2 to 3 times what that no lapse guaranteed premium is. So if it's costing $50 for a 20-year-old, I'll say, hey, can you pay yourself $150 to $200? Because you're going to be paying for the overhead, but once we build this thing out, all the rest of the money is getting stuffed into your bank to be exposed to index growth opportunities. And what I love the most about this as well is because you've got 3 ways money can grow: fixed, variable, and indexed. Fixed is like your CDs, your savings account. Right. They're basically just trying to keep up with inflation, but they're on the side for emergency fund building, that last minute trip you want to go on, whatever. Then you have variable, which is everything that can go up or go down between today, tomorrow. The sad part is most people have their entire nest egg in just variable accounts. Mm-hmm. So what the insurance policies allow with the Internal Revenue Code is something called index growth, where you mirror major indexes like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, things that everybody knows and loves. But through a couple common investing strategies, your money's not in the market. So like I literally had a client text me yesterday. She's in a personal pension plan that has an index strategy built on. We rolled over an IRA last year. And she said, hey, I'm getting word the market's going to tank. Is there any way, like my IRA thing that I have, we can move it into safe investments? I was like, it's index. It'll never lose. And she was like, oh, okay. Have a good day. I was like, plus we have an annual review coming up, in a couple months. I was like, but you can go to sleep tonight. You're good. You're not going to lose a single penny. So for a 20-year-old that they're starting out, and just to have something that you can literally set it and forget it because there's no risk of loss, but you're exposed to certain index allocations that on average are getting 9%, 14%, 19% back tested. Some of them actually have 10, 20-year history. Some of them are more innovative, and so they're just back tested. But either way, for my people that want exposure to growth and they like the risk and the thrill ride, but you're also not young and you can't really afford to lose. The number 1 rule of money is don't lose money. Rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1. So if we can get you exposed to that growth and the aggression that you like, because you're trying to make up gaps in your portfolio, you just simply can't afford to lose. The hardest part is qualifying health-wise. And so for a 20-year-old, I'm like, this is a no-brainer.
Easy.
And even we do these for kids as an alternative to a 529B for exact the same reason you were talking about, because of the flexibility and all the stages of life you got to consider. And I was whether college, buying a car, buying a wedding ring, doing the wedding, all that nonsense that's going to go on. But typically retirement accounts, they all aim for after 59 and a half. The moment you say when to retire early, we got to throw that out the window. That's not going to serve you.
Yeah. And speaking about retirement, like I learned a lot more also with my mom. I'm the only child. So when she moved over here to Virginia, she had a small pension and a 401k. And, let's get you a house. So we got her a house. And it was like, look, watch the grandkids. I work a lot of hours. So was my wife at the time. And instead of paying a babysitter, I'll just buy you the house. I'll pay the bills.
Nice.
Pull that 401k. I was like, it doesn't need to sit there. Big mistake. Because now Uncle Sam wants their money. And also she was on Medicaid, Medicare, one of them. And now she made too much money that year and we had to pay all that back. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fuck. If I had a financial counselor, somebody to educate me, or somebody I could just ask those questions. Should we do this for my mom? How do we maneuver?
Right.
And I fucked up. And it was like, well, I got to eat that cost now. She got her money, but now we had to pay Uncle Sam. It was like $35K. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wish I should have researched or asked somebody, and I didn't.
Yeah.
But it's not knowing, not asking, not really seeking the guidance. Because also, and I did this before, and this was a learning lesson years ago when we sold our first house. 2015, 2017, we sold our first house, and it's like $103,000, in equity. And we're like, yeah. What's the first thing I'm gonna do?
Cash money millionaire.
Pay off my car, pay off my credit card. Well, now I missed out on opportunities because when I moved to Virginia during those years, you could get a house for $100K, a nice little fixer-upper, and build wealth.
Yeah.
Let's just start there. But I could have probably done so much more instead of paying off a car. I was able to pay all my bills. I could have done so much more with that money and probably had interest rate growing that money now at 7 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. And then letting the cash flow help you chunk out your debt. That's one of the things with, I love Dave Ramsey's teaching, but if you simply just go at get out of debt, get out of debt, you'll be retired with no mortgage, which is awesome, but with no money in retirement.
Yeah.
Or just a small amount. What's nice, you won't lose your house, but you're living poor in it.
Right.
So we got to really plan these things out. And most people don't plan to fail; they just fail to plan. And instead of just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, and I like to look at it like, I was talking to a prospective client yesterday doing some onboarding, and he's like, "Yeah, I got Roth IRAs and 401ks and I got whole life policies and all this stuff." He's like, he's gearing up for retirement, so he's got assets just kind of all over the place. It's like, well, what I think would really be beneficial for you is when you look at all these types of things that people may set up, if they're on the higher end of somebody that at least has been trying to invest. I like to see it like they got a bunch of ropes. But imagine you got a business with a whole team, and you got these, if each individual like is doing their thing, but they're not communicating, they're not working together. But imagine the power of when you get a team together. So one thing that I do for clients that have a lot of things is I help them take all those ropes and build a net out of it. Make it all work together to catch anything life throws at you, good or bad, great opportunities, or like didn't see that coming, that kind of stuff, and actually make everything harmonize and make it make sense. Then have a plan, like, hey, as we start that last stretch, like 50 years old through 60, that last stretch, we should have been already knowing what we're doing, because certain types of accounts, they're built for different things. It's like you go to the car lot and you can get a Ferrari or you can get a Prius. And they both serve the right purpose. You want to pick up chicks and go fast? Ferrari. You trying to stay married to your wife and not spend all your money? Prius. There's different vehicles for different reasons, but a good car salesman is going to go, hey, what are you looking for? What are you thinking? And then just imagine yourself in there and help you envision that life. And then, all right, let me help you, connect those dots.
I like how you made that analogy, making a nice big net. Do these policies affect somebody maybe moving from California? Is these things state to state? Do they vary? Somebody moving from Virginia.
New York is the only state, really.
Yeah, I mean, state laws do shift a little bit. It's not a ton until you get into like New York. It's like its own foreign country. Okay. My own personal theory is that they're such believers in Wall Street that they make all the alternative investing options not as amazing and not as good. So you know what? I'll just stick with Wall Street, because you're not really getting the same benefits that you could in these products in other states. But outside of that, I mean, I'm licensed in 15 states. It's super easy to pick up, another license. So if I have clients that move or they refer family members from all over the country, and it's not like real estate where I'm just doing a referral, I can actually get still 100% commissions, on my contract level, no matter who I'm talking to. So I can qualify a client, they're ready to move forward, and I could just sign for that non-resident license. But for my clients who have policies and things, of course they transfer. That's not going to change anything because they've already got it. They've already got it set up.
So it sounds like you're already sending your guys. I mean, I see you guys traveling, but what's your 5-year goal? What's your long-term goal for yourself?
For myself, well, this year, so first year in business, just about having a year of actually in production, first few months and just licensing and training and getting going. First year in business, looking at crossing 100K, mostly in just personal production, but building a team and associate broker right now. So we will probably kick off our brokerage either December or January. And so then the next year as a brokerage, we want to see $500,000 just from this. Yeah.
How many, I guess, as a brokerage, how many agents will you have?
I mean, right now I have 25 licensed agents, and it's just, I literally hired 3 people last week, 2 people this week. Just last night, I brought on a new team member.
Wow.
Our training is bar none with our company, our brokerage. What I like to say is we're like the Keller Williams of like training and investing into helping people tap into their sphere, begin to get business, entrepreneur mindset, put all the right activity in the right places. But we have a profit sharing model like EXP.
Okay.
So the idea is hustle, grind. I train you and I train you. I make you successful. And then when you become a broker, the beautiful thing is I didn't just train at my competition and now lose, overrides and commissions because I promoted you, but instead our backing company will pay me basically like a permanent stake in your brokerage forever, in perpetuity. Why? Because I helped you get there. I put a lot of sweat equity in getting you there, but now it's like I just came along and was an investor, and everything you do, I'm getting a piece of, but it's not coming out of your pocket. It's coming from our backing company. And so we're super motivated to help other people become brokers and train them up and build a team. So our culture is incredible. We travel all over the place because my CEO, what's he doing? He's getting profit sharing on all of us. So, I mean, we were just in Destin and, he's spending $30,000 in a weekend, but on some of the top up and coming experts in the field. It makes sense.
Okay.
And he's doing this every quarter, like twice, because you've got everybody who's building up to broker level, and then you've got your brokers, and you talk to everybody different, Right. And then there's different certification academies. So that's the thing that really sticks out for us, why I came to this company with our platform, and why we're getting so much attention and why we're kind of blowing up so big is really because it's just so clearly laid out. And I'm not a chump. You give me a plan and a path, I'm like, let's go get it. So 3 certification classes, I've finished number 1 in all 3, first person to do that. But it made sense. I've lived enough life to see a good idea when I see it. And I'm like, bet. I looked at my CEO. I said, I'm about to go prove that this works. Watch me. He was like, okay. That was last February. I was in his house in Nashville. And we did it through all 3 certification classes. But also, one of the best ways of leadership is through respect. Right. And when you just go get it and you prove it's possible, then now you forever immortalized your influence. And so now because I'm fast forwarding to, they're going to ask me to get on this stage and say these words, like, what position am I coming from? I'm already stepping with so much credibility and people's ears are open on a different level. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes I just think farther. Because when this does happen, when I am on those stages, what have I needed to have done to really have the highest respect and people want me to come and be a part? People think about getting there, but not like what's going to make people really want you out of everybody else.
Davina, are you getting these licenses?
Oh, I mean, I am licensed.
Oh, you are licensed.
But
okay.
I did it because explain to them how it works if you die. Like, I have to be licensed in order to take the business.
Yeah, well, there's a couple elements. If I pass away and she wasn't licensed, she would have like 90 days.
The same thing like us.
But I made her go get licensed
Oh, well, that part.
immediately because she was having very dangerous conversations on a compliance level. Like, you literally have to be licensed. If you're like the way you're talking to people, like trying to explain the inner workings.
Welcome.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
You got some referrals, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, she'll. Yeah, I talked to a guy yesterday. We're in Mobile, Alabama. She was hanging out with her sister, and I'm hanging out with my broker because that's where they're based out of. And she just throws me in some group chat with a guy. Hey, this is my husband, Jesse. He can explain legacy banking, all that stuff. And so I'm just like, hey, bro, let's chat. I'll be home in a couple of days. And he's super stoked. We onboarded him, and we'll be working on a plan and strategy next week.
So is this going to be home base for you guys in Virginia? Like,
I mean, for a while until we have kids. So our youngest are 11. His daughter's 11. My son's 11. So we'll definitely be here until they graduate high school.
Okay.
I am not from here. I'm from Alabama originally, and he's from the Outer Banks originally. So as far as the kids go, we're here for them. Right.
Would you ever want to move anywhere else and just continue to do business, travel around?
I mean, we've talked about that so much. The interesting thing, though, it doesn't really matter where home base is because we're just always somewhere else.
'Cause that's what I've talked about before. It's like the kids are going to grow up, they're going to meet somebody, they're going to move out, and, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gone. What are we doing?
Yeah. We're chilling right now. I mean, we could go. If we did, it'd probably be highly strategic for financial reasons. Different states have different property tax laws and things.
Yes,
like that.
Virginia is they love their taxes here. I mean,
well,
it
they do.
is. You're moving to the worst state.
Yeah, I did apple comparison.
Is it that similar?
It's that similar. It's,
Really?
Oh my gosh, that makes
Yeah,
me
because
feel
they got
even
the
worse.
because they got the here they say property tax for your vehicles and all that other stuff, and you got your actual
Yeah.
real estate tax.
It's not that bad. It's 1% on the house out there, just like it is here.
Really?
Yeah.
I just thought California would be.
I mean, SoCal probably a whole different monster.
They just have taxes on sales tax, gas tax, travel
Gas
tax. I don't
tax,
know
yeah.
what other fucking tax.
Yeah.
You
About
looked
to
at me
start-
sideways, tax.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
trying to attack.
Did you
like,
walk on
luxury
this carpet?
vehicles.
Tax.
Tax.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
You breathe our smog infected air,
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
so I mean, but from Virginia to California,
It's pretty similar.
it's pretty similar, and that just the prices are out there. Or you
More.
know, where we're going to be average is 800,000.
I mean,
so-
it's not like too crazy.
No, I mean, and let's be very honest. Like $1 million house out there, 4,000 square foot, 5 bedrooms, pool. Go find a 4,000 square foot here.
You're not finding that.
Yeah.
5 bedrooms at a pool, and then you're
You're
paying
not
$1 million.
finding it.
You're paying
Yeah.
$1 million here too. So there's not much difference.
Yeah, because you're not moving to Suffolk.
That
Yeah,
part.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
facts.
It's hard to
Yeah.
find 4,000 square feet in this area in general because it's just not a commonly
Yeah.
built size.
You got to build it yourself.
You got to build it.
Then it's so
custom
unique.
thing.
It's like,
Right.
what are the comps going to be later? It better be your house.
Yeah, and that's what I've said. I told my wife, I was like, if we're gonna spend $1 million, we're just gonna build the house.
Yeah. That is the way to do it.
Because sometimes you look at the home $700,000 to $1 million, it's like,
Right.
not
Could
that
do
impressed
better.
for this.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I did with my bass guitar. I was looking at the best bass guitars, 5-string out there, and they're all like 2,000, 2,500. And at the end of the day, there'd be some feature I would still be wanting.
Right.
And so I made a custom for 3,500.
Okay.
But it's literally,
Everything.
it's mine. Like I made it
Correct.
to me. And it's incredible. So sometimes it's
Gotta
not,
spend
it's like it's an
money.
investment, but it's not. It's you living your best life, but it just makes sense.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's like what we want, it's like there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
And it is hard. It's hard to find exactly what you
Yeah,
want, especially
yeah.
if you get into the higher price points. Just I'm a fan of builders anyway.
Right. And it's just like I see it and you see the dated old trim or
Because
just
by the
the
time
layout.
you
It's
go through and
like, why
gut
did
it
they
and
do
redo it, I mean, but I love a good project though, so I'd probably be the one to let's gut.
Yeah,
this
let's hire
thing.
somebody for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a project, but here in Virginia, like California's known for buying a house, tearing it down, rebuilding something, and you could put something completely different than your neighbor.
Oh wow,
If you put a modern style home,
that's not gonna happen.
you're never going to get the return. There might be 10 people that like your house, but it doesn't fit the community.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia's very old money, old people.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, coastal Virginia vibe. You know, out there, it's just you could find land more, I think, out there than you can here to build.
Yeah.
You know,
Really?
so here, I think there's a great market here. I think we're definitely in a bubble. We have all the bases. There's long-term business here. California for me is the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
It's how do I take this brand from here to there and then come back in between.
Yeah,
Like
you can try to build a bridge.
build a bridge all the way
That's
back
dope.
across. But like with real estate, you have to be there. You can't just be
A
on the move.
non-resident.
I can't be on the phone with you. I can't be just in front of a computer. You have to physically be there to build the presence.
Yeah.
So I like that business that you're in for that. Like you could be sitting anywhere in the world and just jump on the phone.
Literally, we were in Cabo, and he was like, "Oh, I got to go run do a meeting." We were at the pool bar. He's like, "I'll be right back."
Right.
I mean,
Knock it out.
Well, let me
Everything.
preface like one of my dreams was always just to be at one of those gorgeous destination spots where there's a bar that you can sit at while still in the pool.
Right. Yep.
And we went to one in Costa Rica, just wasn't that amazing.
yeah, everywhere's different.
But we're at Cabo, and I'm like, this is it.
Cabo.
This is it.
Cabo.
We're at a resort built by
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods next to his golf community.
I love
and
Cabo.
The weather was gorgeous. And I think it was the second day. I was like, this is the day I don't get out of this pool unless I have to.
Yeah, Cabo is a good vibe. I always tell people like Cancun's cool, but Cabo's just that more relaxed.
It
vibe.
is.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different type of business people that you meet in Cabo. Like,
Cabo's serious business down there.
we
too.
met, like we were sitting in the pool talking to a Bitcoin millionaire. I mean,
he's 36 years
30,
old,
yeah,
and we're just
just-
chopping shop,
if it's
in
like, yeah,
the
live here
pool.
for 3 months.
Right.
We're just like, that's dope.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but also listen to yourself. Oh, we were in Costa Rica, and then we were in Cabo. Costa Rica's not that nice, like Cabo.
But if you're looking for somewhere to invest, because we were in Costa Rica, and I'm not looking to buy out of the country, but you speak Spanish, so it's just different. I think Costa Rica is like up and coming.
Yeah.
There's a lot. They're trying to make Costa Rica like a Cabo, like a Cancun, but there's not a lot there right now. So they're doing these big neighborhoods that they're building out with the different tiers, like fractional ownership and like full ownership with like the $2 million mansions, and then you have all the clubhouses and the pools and all that. One of our friends, she's in a different brokerage than we are, but she's building her house out there. And she was telling me it was the way they have the investment set up was, she said, I just couldn't say no. She said, I'm building an $800,000 house, but all I had to do was put down 25%, and my mortgage payment will be pulled out of the rental income that it makes once it's done.
I see.
I've never
what
seen
they're
any.
doing.
I've never seen that type of
Yeah,
structure.
And like when the
before.
builders do the phases,
Right.
like build the first, rent it out. Boom,
But
boom, boom.
she was like, take my money. Like, she'll have a house, and and they do everything. And that the goal is once the full community's complete, she at some point obviously will be paid for, but she's never having to make that monthly payment. She'll just get whatever. Either she won't make any money that month, or she'll make whatever comes over the management fees and her mortgage.
That's dope.
Yeah, I like it.
I need that in my life.
Yeah. But it was just nice to be in the pool bar and go, wait, let me go run a meeting. So I run upstairs and I just throw my blazer and chain on real quick. And because you're only seeing this much, and I literally hired.
still
Looking at you, I was like,
Yeah.
you don't even have to throw on the shirt. Bro. It still looks like you got it on.
I even hired an agent while I was in Cabo.
Okay.
That was definitely a
me
selling feature, though. You're like in Cabo, like hiring somebody, and you.
Yeah.
True.
I mean,
they were like, what?
Yeah, I get so many people reaching out on social media, and I'm like, okay, this is building a business, though. It's not
It's
get
not
rich
just
quick,
partying, right.
ridiculous
Oh.
kind of
That's
thing.
it's like real estate, and that's what I tell him a lot. People come into real estate. I even have agents to this day. They get mad about a couple things. Oh, the leads are trash, or no one's called. Like all the
Love
things
it.
that they get mad about. But at the end of the day, I mean, I tell people all the time, your SOI, like if you go out and build your business and you learn and you do what we tell you to do, you'll be successful, and you don't have to worry about quote unquote leads. But leads, the conversion rate are lower, and it's the same thing in his industry. So there is a lot of frustration for newer agents who come in who don't have the mindset of I am building a business. It's very similar to real estate. Like we have a lot of some of the same pain points and conversations.
Yeah.
And that's why I consistently, and he does the same thing. He's like, no, this is your business. You're building a business. Most businesses don't make money for the first 3 years.
Yeah, but imagine being trained and mentored to build a business, low cost of overhead, and while you're learning, be getting paid.
Right.
Like, let's say you hate your career, you're maxed out, and let's just say you bit the bullet and you went back to school for a new career. How much would you go into debt for? And would that new career even guarantee you're making more than you are now? You'd probably take a pay cut just to get on a different ladder system and hope that it comes back eventually. And even your first day on the job, you don't know nothing about doing the job because you just have a degree. So imagine getting the degree, learning everything you need to do on the job, and getting paid at the same time. I like to tell people that I talk to about it that you can make stupid money. By that, I mean you can make money while being stupid. Because imagine you got a brand new agent, has no idea how to do a listing presentation, but you go in there and you close that thing, and then you guys split the deal. They just watched you work, but they were technically they're the procuring calls, but you close that thing. Same concept.
Same thing.
So I'm like, day one, we're just gonna start working through your sphere. And I've got scripts to help you leverage me. We jump on this thing and I close the deal. We split this thing 50-50. And all you did was sit there and try not to drool hard.
That's
Not a bad deal.
That's a great
So that is how
Yeah, same thing.
same thing in real estate. Same.
Work out.
No, we talk about it. We actually talked about it the other day. Just because I do cold calls, that's where I did my thing.
Yeah, you
like,
remind me of my friend Tony. He's like, he will tear up a cold market list.
Right. I mean, it doesn't have to cost a lot to do business in general, right? If you get a list of names or a list of addresses, it's up to you to make those calls and show them the light, show them the reason why you're beneficial to their life and how you could improve their life. And then a lot of people get afraid. They're scared to jump on a phone. And I'm like, I'm afraid to be on stage. Call me on the phone. We're staying on that thing for hours. I will keep you there all night.
That's so interesting.
You know, so because I don't have to feel that energy. I don't see the eyes. I don't, so that for me, you could curse me out on the phone, and my partners have heard me get cursed out on the phone. 45 minutes later, I'm standing in your house because I just set the appointment, because you're cursing me out because you're mad about something that's going wrong,
Right.
especially in this industry. Your industry, if someone curses you out about money, that's
different.
That's different.
Yeah.
But
well, when I was in mortgage, LOs definitely cursed at me.
Right.
For sure.
So I mean, that's where I went with my business, was low overhead. You know, when I joined real estate, I was broke. Like the credit card, last bit of money. I'm either going to make this work or I'm going to go work at McDonald's.
You dropped it and it bounced higher than
But see, a lot of people don't have that grit. Like if
Right.
they're still looking for someone to hand them a client, because a lead is different than a client.
Right.
They're still looking for a client because they're still have a very powerful employee mindset, and they're looking to brokers and team leads to give them something
Yeah.
to make
Feed
them
'em.
successful. But all we can give you is our knowledge and our energy and our time.
Right.
And we can go with you to appointments, because if we come, we will close them. You
Right.
don't know what you're doing.
Right.
But you have to do the work and make the 500 calls or the whatever it is, or reach out to your SOI or whatever that looks like for whomever's doing it in order for it to actually happen. But people are afraid to do what you did.
Yeah, that education, you put in that energy, it reciprocates into income.
Yeah.
Like that's it. They don't see, they're not with us every day, and
Now,
leads
to
fall
kind
apart.
of go off a conversation we had, do you have agents with you that are struggling with? I mean, do you give them leads? Do you give them list of names? Do you give them any potential clients or any prospects, or is it just on them?
Not unless like I'm out of town or really can't make something work, or it's really with agents that I'm training. Typically, what I'm doing is I'm training every agent to pull from their own list and how to angle at that thing and keep tapping into it. And we start small, but because of our system and our platform and just the needs that most people have, we do pretty good closing. So we kind of have an on-ramp of, we run 3 meetings, do a business plan, run 7 more. By then, the agent should be licensed. And then we launch a grand opening, and we get them certified to be able to help clients on their own, or at least talk about the company, go through the financial education, and onboard them.
Right.
And then they may still have to match up with someone like me that's actually building a strategy. But we try to get them certified as fast as possible to go have those conversations initially on their own, especially after they launch their grand openings. Now it looks, smells, feels like a business, and you're just leveraging your mentor or your broker to help you, introduce the new you, your new career and business to your sphere, and then mining for the gold with referrals, just following up well.
Right.
All those things we have built in. So I tell people, like, you're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself.
Right.
And I can't make you do this work. It's not easy, but it is simple. If you just go one step at a time.
Right.
So we literally just build this thing out. But no, I'm generally not feeding people, not unless I've got an agent in training. If they're not certified to run clients on their own, they have to be matched up with someone who is. So like, we were traveling, and I basically did like an out of office for 2 weeks. I was like, hey, go to my senior agents, which I've got 2 on my team that almost have the same tenure as I do. I was like, here's their calendars, leverage their calendars, and just keep reaching out. Be consistent on social media. We have text message scripts, because a lot of people don't want to call.
Right.
So I've actually built, I call it the Dominate prospecting script, and it literally just lays stuff out. Just some pretty fun stuff. Like, I get in your text message like, hey, I need a favor. Don't hate me. Like, smiley with sunglasses. Somebody's like, oh, of course I don't hate you. What's going on? What do you need? Well, actually, I'm in a certification class right now to advance in my business. I got to do 20 hours of instruction, and I also got to sit in front of 20 20 people and prove to them my proficiency, talking about our company, and explain the 3 major roles of money. Do you mind being one of those meetings for me? And so if you're like, oh yeah, sure, because they're just doing you a favor. And you're like, hey, biggest thing here is, give me some grace because I got to get the butterflies out of my stomach. I'm just learning, what I'm doing, and I just really appreciate you, being on this call. Best case scenario, you just know what I'm doing now. So if conversation comes up, just word of mouth referral. You just know that I'm here, what I'm doing, what our team is doing. Sound fair enough? Yeah, sure. All right, let's rock and roll. And so we jump into this thing. And so it's literally like having a bunch of miniature like grand openings. You're asking people to come in and help you, sample everything and get feedback. What if somebody comes to your grand opening, say you open a restaurant, and they're like, you know what? I've been wanting to create a sushi restaurant. And now like, Eric Sushi, have you ever thought about franchising? Right. And you're like, no, I didn't. Well, I love everything you got going on. I don't want to reinvent this thing. What if we franchise? And you're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Now your business is growing, and that wasn't like an intention of yours, but it happened organically. But what did you have to do? You just had to invite people in and give them an experience. And so that's what I love about the beauty of the approach. And plus, there's 64 million Americans looking for financial advice and help right now.
Yep.
It's a massive need. We've got the largest generation in history. The baby boomers are retiring. It's also the largest group of advisors and planners that are also retiring. So we got a bunch of retirees that have less people to help them because the people are retiring that are the help. So here we are just trying to keep up. The finance industry makes more millionaires than any other industry. Real estate is second to it, but finance makes 3 times more than real estate does. We've got lower overheads, a lot more flexibility, and kind of an easier barrier of entry as long as you've got really good coaching and training. So that's why it's been so amazing for us. And when I saw our platform, I was like, yeah, this is everything. Because I was anticipating having to create scripts and presentations and whatever. I just wanted access to good products. I didn't want to be captive and just square peg round hole the same thing at everybody. So I saw that. I'm like, bet that's worth it. Then turns out they got basically a franchise in a box to just hand you, and you pay nothing for it because as they help you, we're going to help each other, and we're just bringing more business in.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Well, with that, thank you for tuning in to another Your Peak Life episode.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Jesse, again, tell us where they can find you.
Instagram's probably the easiest. Jesse Woodwealth. I'm on Facebook as well. Pretty sure it's the same handle. Or dominatemoney.com.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to continue to crush it with your wife, Davina. Eric, thank you for joining us. Until next time, subscribe. Take it easy.
Thanks for having us on.